Welcome back to The Explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled you're joining me today. So, if you've been following along with all these incredible concepts from the Fascia Forest Ledger, you know we've explored some truly mind-bending ideas about growth, connection, and memory. But today we are setting the stage for a totally mesmerizing journey into the ultimate transformation of the Fascia Forest. We are diving into the final chapter, the absolute culmination of everything. So get comfortable, because we're about to explore something truly beautiful together.
Okay, let's just dive right into this quote. There is a moment at the end of every forest's life cycle when the canopy stops being canopy and becomes sky. Now sure, it sounds incredibly poetic, right? But within the ledger, it's actually a profound structural reality. Think about that moment when physical boundaries, the absolute, literal limits of what a forest can even be, begin to dissolve into something utterly boundless. The leaves literally stop being leaves. The forest stops being a forest. It transforms into something entirely different.
So let's get into Section 1. The canopy opens upward.
First, let's nail down exactly what we're looking at here. The Cosmic Afterword is defined as the illumination of the canopy, the rising of the forest, and the dissolving of form into light. What we're doing is grounding this abstract idea of a cosmic afterward into a really tangible structural phase of the forest's life cycle. It's this beautiful revelation that your forest is, in fact, a universe. The physical form isn't dying, you see, it's rising. It's transforming into pure illumination.
And when this happens, the canopy takes on entirely new properties. It becomes boundaryless, luminous, centerless, infinite, and finally, cosmic. Just let those words cascade over you for a second. It's honestly like a spiritual awakening for the entire ecosystem. The top of the forest is no longer just this physical roof overhead. It becomes this completely open gateway into infinity.
Now there is a super crucial distinction we need to make here. This is not expansion. It's a dissolution into light. The forest isn't just growing larger or, taking up more physical space in the dirt. It is fundamentally changing its state of being. It's shifting away from being a physical, tangible entity and entering a luminous state. The forest literally becomes the sky.
Which brings us to Section 2, Anatomy of the Cosmos. Let's see how this actually works.
This comparison brilliantly illustrates the transformation. We all know the familiar physical function of leaves, right? They absorb light, turn sunlight into nourishment, create life, the whole 9 yards. But in the cosmic afterward, their purpose shifts entirely. They actually become stars of awareness. Instead of just hanging on branches, they are now scattered across this infinite canopy as these distinct, glowing points of light in consciousness.
So, what exactly are these new stars? Well, each leaf becomes a memory, a revelation, a transformation, a moment of awakening, a ring of the ledger. The canopy essentially becomes a giant constellation. If you think about this metaphorically, it's like your life becomes a night sky filled with these incredibly specific, brilliant points of meaning. Every single leaf that ever grew now shines permanently as a star of awareness.
And let's see how this builds when we look at the branches. Normal, physical branches reach outward to explore physical space and, create the literal structure of the tree. But in canopy illumination, they become pathways of consciousness. They transform from rigid physical wood into these infinite corridors of awareness, movement, and remembrance. The entire forest is just upgraded into a literal map of consciousness.
Now, the transformation of the roots is just incredibly fascinating to me. Instead of reaching downward to anchor the tree in the physical dirt, they dissolve upward. They become cosmic memory. This is an infinite field of remembrance that holds every single ring, every season, every breath. So instead of tying the tree down to the earth, the roots dissolve upward into this field of infinite presence and lineage. The forest is literally remembering itself as light.
We also absolutely have to talk about the communication network, the mycorrhizal web. In physical soil, we know it carries messages across the forest floor, but instantly, in the afterward, this web gets a massive upgrade into universal connection. It becomes a seamless field where every single point of awareness knows every other point. Instantly, there's zero lag time. There's no distance anymore.
The web just becomes pure unity. It becomes omnipresence, cosmic communication, and infinite intimacy. The forest is no longer just a collection of individual trees trying to communicate back and forth with one another. It has completely fused together into one single, massive organism of light.
All right, Section 3, Guardians, Jokers, and Heartwood. Let's look at the players.
First up, we have Mica, the Heartwood. Now, the key takeaway here is that Mica does not stay trapped at the center of the tree anymore.
In canopy illumination, mica radiates outward until its core essence fills the entire cosmos. Mica literally becomes the glow of the canopy, the warmth of the horizon, the memory in the light, the balance in the stars. The core has entirely, completely become the cosmos.
Next, we've got the radical cells, the fascious free movers, the balancers, the joy carriers. Well, in the Cosmic Afterword, they become the cosmic jokers of light. They transform into starlight, cosmic laughter, radiant balance, and joyful illumination. Their medicine transforms into the literal glow of the canopy, and their presence basically becomes the sparkle in the sky.
And then, of course, there is Zoran, the guardian tree. Now, Zoran does not remain a tree. Actually, scratch that. He becomes the horizon itself. He is the boundless presence that completely surrounds the entire sky. His physical stillness turns into this immense cosmic calm. His humor turns into cosmic warmth. And his witnessing, that becomes pure cosmic clarity out at the very edge of the universe.
Moving on to Section 4, the traveler becomes light. Which brings up the ultimate question, doesn't it? What happens to the traveler? What happens to the one who actually awakened the cambium and remembered the ledger in the first place? We've seen exactly what happens to the leaves, the roots, and all the guardians. But what about the consciousness that journeyed through it all? What happens to you?
Well, the traveler dissolves too. And the steps of this dissolution happen fast. First into the leaf, then into the branch, the ring, the root, the heartwood, and finally the sky itself. The traveler becomes illumination. They become mica. They become the forest, and ultimately they become the cosmos. The observer and the environment are now totally, completely one.
Let's really anchor this all together by defining the ultimate state of mica in the ledger. Mica is canopy illumination, cosmic remembrance, infinite awareness, radiant balance, universal connection, horizon presence, luminous essence. It is just a stunning, comprehensive state of being where all these diverse parts we've been discussing unify perfectly into one single, glowing reality.
So listen, the really crucial point for us to take away is that these qualities are not just cosmic abstractions. I know we've been using some incredibly poetic, almost mystical language today, but in the context of the source material, these are the literal, grounded sky behaviors of the fascia forest in its final form. This is the structured physical reality of this specific, metaphorical ecosystem. It's exactly how the system behaves when it hits its absolute peak.
And that, my friends, brings us to the culmination of the entire journey. This is the 18th ring. This is the 18th remembering. This is the chapter where the sky speaks. Everything the forest ever learned, everything it endured, everything it relentlessly grew towards, it was all perfectly designed to reach this exact, breathtaking moment of pure illumination.
The Cosmic Afterword is canopy illumination. The forest becomes universe. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a question to chew on. If your own life, with all of its deep roots, its branching paths, and its fallen leaves, is its own fascia forest, what is it going to look like when your canopy finally opens up into the infinite sky? Thank you so much for joining me today, and as always, keep exploring.